Let's do this. Okay. Fortunately, this movie isn't complete cheeks, so it's not going to be that hard to review. So, here we go. Okie dokie, folks. I have traveled very quickly, about 30 minutes over into Australia, so I can go see this movie. And now I'm back in America. So I can see this movie for you guys because I just really like going to Australia every once in a while for about 30 minutes to an hour. While my internet connection and my computer are on, sometimes I just visit Australia, I got me a cigar here. I got a Nika Libre. Look at that band right there. That's beautiful, ain't it? So, how you guys doing today? I haven't done an unscripted video in a hot minute. So how you guys doing today? Me, I'm doing well. But anyway, I have just seen Captain America Brave New World, Captain America 4, Blackton America, Captain Falcon, whatever you want to call it. I saw it. I'm going to let you know right off the rip, it's not the worst movie. I don't want to say it's okay, because it's not okay. It's not good, but it's not like, to compare it to another MCU movie, it's not as bad as the Marvels. The Marvels was dog shit, okay? That was bad. But I have some notes here. I took some notes, about 3 pages worth of notes. And it's because it's not dealing with cosmic forces and stuff. It honestly ends up not being the most broken movie in Phase 4 and 5. I think, what is this in? Is this in Phase 4, 5? Because apparently Fantastic Four is going to be the first Phase 6 movie. So I can't believe we're in Phase 6 of the MCU and we've gone 3 phases without an Avengers movie. Okay, yeah. So this is Phase 5. I think it's the last movie of Phase 5, actually. My dog is making that really nasty, like, lip smacking noise, and it churns my stomach. I hate it so much. Oh, no. So Thunderbolts is going to be the last Phase 5 movie. Okay. Yes. And then 2 Avengers movies are going to be in Phase 6. Not at that point, but it will be, what is that? 8 years. No, it'll be 7 years since we had an Avengers movie once the next Avengers comes out. But I think someone put it perfectly when they said that the problem with these MCU movies now is that almost every MCU movie is an Avengers level movie now, where multiple Avengers are in it and they're fighting. You got to shrink it back down. And I think this movie genuinely attempts to do that. It just doesn't do it very well. But let's jump into it. So, movie starts with Harrison Ford's Thaddeus Ross. He's having his acceptance speech to be the president of the United States. Yeah, get ready for that. We're gonna talk about that. But it starts with him talking about how it was expecting a call from his daughter. In case you don't remember, Thaddeus Ross is the father of Betty Ross, Bruce Banner's original girlfriend from The Incredible Hulk, right? Yeah, that's something they just haven't talked about in a while, but yeah, it's in this movie. And this was the first moment I realized that the dialogue writing in this movie was going to be buns, straight cheeks. Was Thaddeus Ross's first line is, and I quote, "Have you heard anything from Betty, my daughter?" And he's saying this to like his secretary, so it's like, she would know that Betty Ross is your daughter. Why are you explaining to her that's your daughter? Like that's when I knew the dialogue in this movie was going to be rancid when I heard that, right? So he has his acceptance speech, and then we jump ahead 5 months, right? So I kind of got this mixed up when I was watching the movie, but by the time the events of the movie happen proper, Thaddeus Ross has been in his presidency for almost 100 days. So this scene of him having his acceptance speech is in like November of that year. And then 2 months pass, and then you get the first 3 months of his presidency, so that would be the first 100 days. So we jump ahead 5 months from that speech, and Sam Wilson is Captain America in this movie. let's just not talk about it. Anyway, in this sequence, they're fighting against the Serpent Society or the Serpent Squad or whatever the fuck they're called, and they're trying to get this this container, right? And the first thing I noticed was that Sam Wilson flies in and he lands on the ground, you know, just on his feet after breaking the sound barrier, flying into the ground at like Mach 2, and he doesn't instantly break his shins. Let alone, like, how he didn't break his shins, let alone turn into paste as he hit the ground, is beyond me. Because that man was going Mark II. And then when he lands, he says, wait for it. And then a sonic boom pushes all the guys away. And it's like, so he should be paste. He should be a fine, like, goopy, like, red paste on the ground. He should not have survived. Why am I saying this? Well, you'll see. So he takes out these guys. And then oh, man, I always mess up this guy's name. Hold on. I'd be messing up names anyway, so it's whatever. So, we got the leader of the Serpent Society. It's the Serpent Society, okay. The leader of the Serpent Society named No, fuck. Wait. Get your shit together. The leader of the Serpent Society is named Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito. I always mess up his name. I have to look at it to read it right. He's, like... In my notes, I state that he... Where is it? Yeah, I said it's clear Giancarlo was supposed to be brought in as the dark, intimidating terrorist leader, but the execution doesn't really work because all he do is they bring him up in the dark, and he says, "Tell me where he is," and then they say, "I don't know where he is," and he's just like, "Shoot him," and it's like, like you're not Bane, you're not Joker, you're not making a very interesting. You're not making a very interesting introduction, you know? He's not even like Helmut Zemo in Civil War. The execution is just boring, right? So Sam makes it inside the building, and then there's a part where 3 random guys just grab Sam and take his shield from him. You just let 3 random guys, random goons just grab you and take his shield. It's just like... What are we doing? What are we doing? And then he picks up a cinder block and starts beating people up with it. So I was like, okay, so maybe he took the super serum, and I missed something, right? So maybe he took the super serum before this movie. So and then he gets into like the chapel, or the what is that area called? The chapel basically. And Sidewinder's in there, but then there's this big dude that comes there and starts whooping his ass, and it's like, okay, so he didn't take the super serum because a regular guy wouldn't beat his ass, right? So we're getting conflicting reports here, where he's doing stuff that would require the super serum in order to survive, or just do it in the first place, and then he's also like struggling to do shit that someone with the super serum would be able to do, right? So he's fighting the big guy, and then there's this guy in the chair that he's friends with named Joaquin. And Joaquin, I guess they serve together, I don't know, but he wants to be the next Falcon. So he suits up in like Sam's old stuff, and he goes out and chases the guys that have... This was in that... There was a clip that came out before the movie was released that had like Sam getting his ass whooped by a big dude. This is that scene at the beginning of the movie, right? So Joaquin goes and takes down the guys, and this is a problem I have with a lot of newer superheroes, right? Where I mentioned on Twitter, I have it right here. I mentioned on Twitter that these new wave of superheroes seem to be excessively vain, where they're focused on everyone seeing what they're doing and looking cool while they're doing it, having a cool costume. They're so focused on all these superficial things about being a superhero, and it's kind of annoying. So they get the canister, Sidewinder escapes, and then the U.S. military comes in and they secure the area. So then Falcon, or Joaquin, he wants to train and be as good as Sam. So he takes Sam takes Isaiah to... No, shit. Sam takes Joaquin to Isaiah to train, and they do a little bit of sparring, and Isaiah, like, basically beats the shit out of Sam. And then, in that sequence, Joaquin is also being incredibly annoying again, just so we're clear. But in the scene, Isaiah confirms that Sam doesn't have the serum. So... Again, how did you pick up a cinder block and beat people up with it? And how did you fly into the ground at Mach 2 and not completely explode into a miasma of gore and blood? Like, I don't understand. Sam gets a call, and he's actually been invited to the White House, and he wants Isaiah to go with him. But Isaiah's like, oh, I can't, I don't understand how you could work for the government after what they did to me. And it's like, whatever, man. You've got your thing. Captain America has basically in all of the movies except for, like, let's say Civil War and Infinity War, Captain America has basically always worked for the government. So I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, Sam invites Isaiah to go with him to the White House, which that's gonna bring up some questions later, but we'll get to that. So Sam, Joaquin, and Isaiah go to the White House. They got their, they're dapper. They got their suits on and stuff. And then Ross is there, played by Harrison Ford. And of course, they do the casting joke that they always got to do, where, oh, it's a new guy playing it, so he looks different. Let's lampshade it. Where, it's a double joke where Sam is joking about how Ross doesn't have his mustache anymore, but at the same time, it's a joke about how he's played by a different person now. So, obligatory. But the president, or Ross, is talking to Sam because he actually wants to rebuild the Avengers. And it's like, rebuild the Avengers? Why has it taken it this long for you guys to rebuild the Avengers? After, like Spider-Man No Way Home, where the sky split in half. Multiverse of Madness, where we had a rogue Avenger causing chaos. Like, what else was there? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where there was an international incident with terrorists blowing shit up. Now you want to build the Avengers? Anyway, I also put here, it's strange that it took this long to decide rebuilding the Avengers might be in the best interest of not only the cinematic universe that they're in, but the brand itself outside of the universe. How do you, think of it this way? How do you think it feels to, have a kid that's like, oh, I love the Avengers, and then you tell them, oh yeah, in the movies the Avengers don't fucking exist. So this was when the dialogue just got obnoxious in terms of the exposition, right? So Ross and Sam are conversing in this office, and there's a part where after Ross establishes he wants to rebuild the Avengers, Sam unironically tells Ross what he did in Civil War when he did the Sokovia Accords and he had half of the Avengers locked up because they didn't want to, follow through with it. And it's like, why are you explaining this to him like he doesn't remember what he did? Like, I'm pretty sure he knows about all of this. He locked Sam up over this. The guy telling him this, he locked you up over this. Why are you reminding him? And as I was talking about before, it's interesting how the MCU tried to undo itself. It tried to undo everything that was established in Phase 3 over the span of Phase 4. But it was really weird seeing all this continuity heavy stuff, referencing Eternals, Civil War, in the Incredible Hulk, the first Incredible Hulk back in I think it was 2008. I think. I'm not looking it up right now, but the one that came out shortly after Iron Man 1 came out, right? And it was bizarre because the past few movies almost felt shame in being connected to the other movies, such as the Marvels, where they don't even mention Marvel. They don't mention Marvel. They don't want Carol to touch Earth at all for some reason, even though she has several reasons to come back to Earth. And it's just weird how much Phase 4 and 5 just did not want to be connected to the rest of the MCU. But I'm gonna summarize that later. They go on to the reason why they're there, which is this showcase of what this treaty is. So Ross has this treaty that he wants to have with other countries that addresses the giant celestial sticking out of the ocean from Eternals. And the Celestial has a bunch of adamantium in it, which, in case you don't know, adamantium is this super strong metal that's basically what Wolverine's bones are made out of, right? Super duper strong. And it's I think in this movie they said it was stronger than vibranium in this movie. I'll have to fact check that and I'll put it right here. But it's a super strong metal, and Ross, he wants to have a treaty so that everyone gets it fairly instead of starting a war over it, right? Which, the whole point of Ross in this movie is that he wants to stop being an aggressive, angry, violent, like dictator and what's the word? He wants to stop being like a jackbooted thug, basically, that wants to use might over might and strength over persuasion and diplomacy, right? So he wants to have this treaty so that everyone can get the adamantium without fighting over it. So during this presentation, something like a song starts playing, and then like 5 different people in the room like go into sleeper agent mode. My dog scared me, but they go into sleeper agent mode and they try to kill the president, right? Crazy, I know, like a fucking assassination attempt on the president in this movie. Oh, timely. Anyway, very interesting timing. And one of those people is Isaiah. The music starts playing. He immediately gets up, tries to take the Secret Service. He takes the Secret Service agent's handgun and tries to shoot Ross, but he misses at point blank range. But we'll get to why he misses later. So all chaos ensues. Secret Service evacuate the president, and there's just chaos happening. Sam's trying to, save people. And then one of these random women that's like in the crowd, the camera focuses on her for a little bit, so you understand that she's kind of important. And she fucking like starts defending people, starts taking down the armed suspects. And then there's this part where Sam stops a guy from shooting someone by dropping the magazine out of the handgun. Okay. As you could tell, I have a firearm here. Let me show you why you can't just drop the magazine on a gun and it stops the danger, right? So this right here is a Glock 19, right? You drop the magazine. Wow, that was weird. Right? And you think, "Oh, yeah, no, it's safe," right? No, it isn't. Watch this. So, what Sam did was just drop the magazine, but he still would have had one in the chamber, which means he still could have shot somebody. Yeah, there's nothing in there. So, he really didn't, if he would have just, let the guy shoot him, it didn't do anything. So it's just one of those things where it's like clearly a person that doesn't know anything about guns had that moment in there. It's just a pet peeve. When you own a gun, you see these things. It's just annoying. Okay, so Sam gives chase to Isaiah, right? And he chases him all the way to, I think it's the Vietnam War Veterans Memorial in D.C. And then when Sam catches Isaiah's like, "I don't know what's happening. Where am I?" Right? So immediately you're thinking, okay, so this guy was activated by like a sleeper cell or something. Like he's being mind controlled, right? And the first thing you think of in the MCU when it comes to brainwashing and mind control is, oh, I don't know, Bucky, right? Sam's like best friend, the only living best friend that he has from the original Avengers, right? So, But Sam is going to take like 12 hours in universe to come to this conclusion, but we'll get to that. So Sam says, "Isaiah, you need to stand down or they're going to kill you," right? And Isaiah, in case you don't know, Isaiah was locked up he was locked up for like 30 years and experimented on. He doesn't want to go back, but Sam was like, "You need to stand down or they're going to kill you." So he stands down, they arrest him, and yeah, so Isaiah's in prison now. So there's a conversation There's a conversation between Sam and Ross, right? So Sam goes to Ross in his presidential bunker, and he confronts him about it, and he says, "Hey, something's fishy," right? And then Ross, he's like, "What, do you want to investigate it?" He's like, "Yeah, I want to investigate it." And Ross is like, "That would be a conflict of interest." And the movie wants you to think that Ross is the bad guy here. Ross is being unreasonable, but it makes 100% sense. Like Ross is like, dude, it's a conflict of interest. Like I put here, where is it? Oh, I fucking skipped something. I'll come back to that. Yeah, it's the meme of we have investigated ourselves and found nothing wrong. Like Sam would investigate this and immediately go like, yeah, we found nothing wrong. And the whole public would be like, well, of course you found nothing wrong. That's your best fucking friend. You would want to find nothing wrong. But anyway, this scene introduces Ruth, whose comic book name is Sabra. And how do I put this? Let's just say her nationality. Fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. She's a Jew, right? She's from Israel. Her actress is from Israel too. So, you already know, like, the most annoying fucking people are about to make a big deal about this. But mind you, Ruth in this movie is portrayed by what's her name? What is her name? She is portrayed by Shira Haas, and Shira Haas is a very small woman. Like, I'm talking, she is tiny. She is like half of my height. She is like she's like 5'2". She is tiny. And in this movie, they have her throwing grown-ass men into the air against the wall, bro. It's bad. It's like, it's the worst kind of like, what would you call this? Female empowerment. It's the worst kind, where she's just chucking dudes that are double her size into the air and just kicking them around like they're rag dolls. It's goofy. It just looks stupid. In that conversation, Ross tells Sam, get the fuck out. Like, don't work on this. This is way over your head, son, right? He calls him son. And, like, Sam makes it, like, a big deal about it being... He alludes to it being racially coded, where he's saying that because Sam is black, and it's like, bro, Thaddeus Ross is, like, double your fucking age, bro. Like, he's not calling you son because you're black. He's calling you son because you're, like, his grandson's age, bro. Like, well, if he had a grandson, because Betty Ross ain't got no kids as far as we know. But it's weird that, like, they want to make that, like, a racial, like, thing, and it's just bizarre. When you really think about it, what are the chances that Sam would bring his super soldier best friend to a meeting with the president, and then, like, he would go sleeper agent mode and try to kill the president, right? What are the fucking chances? And the movie is going to allude to the fact that that's not a coincidence. That was done on purpose, but it falls flat. You'll see. This cigar does not want to stay lit. Okay, so this is when I immediately picked up on what the main villain's whole plot was, right? So early in the first scene of the movie, Ross is seen, like, popping a mint, right? But, like, he's giving a speech in front of an audience, so what would he need a mint for? So then after Sam leaves in the bunker, Ross pops another mint. But it's not a mint, right? And here's where I guessed, like, I'm not joking, I guessed what the main bad guy's, like, whole plan was. And I was right. So here's what I wrote. So obviously, the mints Ross is taking throughout the film are meant to suppress Red Hulk. And the whole movie is about how the Serpent Society is trying to unleash the Red Hulk, the same way Bruce was tricked into rampaging in South Africa in Age of Ultron. I got a few things wrong there, actually. Where the pills don't suppress Red Hulk, we'll get to that. And the Serpent Society aren't behind this, and we'll get to that. But trying to get Red Hulk to come out and rampage and kill a bunch of people, that is legitimately what the main bad guy's objective is. Okay, so this is when Sam goes to see Isaiah in prison, and he still hasn't put two and two together or realized Isaiah was brainwashed into doing this. And he's just forgetting shit that happened, like, in Civil War. And mind you, what's his name again? Sam? I forgot his fucking name, dude. What's wrong with me? Sam was blipped. So for 5 years he was gone. And the last time when he disappeared, it was 2018. Civil War took place in 2016. So that's 2 years. Yeah, Civil War took place in 2016. So 2016 to 2018 was 2 years. He got blipped, right? So then, as far as he knew, he was just asleep. So he wouldn't just forget something that happened 2 years ago, right? So he came back in 2023. Yeah, 2023. And to him, like, Civil War only happened like 3 years prior to the events of this movie. So how would he forget about Bucky getting fucking mind controlled and told to, like, attack all of the Avengers in that, I forget, was it in the UN? I forget where he was held. But how would he forget that? So Ruth was also there watching Sam's conversation with Isaiah, and she's like, she's basically, silently watching Sam and Joaquin's behavior on behest of the president. So later on, after Sam leaves, it's been like 12 hours since the assassination attempt, and now Sam is like, maybe he's being brainwashed like my friend Bucky Barnes. It took you that long? It took you like 12 hours to put 2 and 2 together? Come on, man. Isaiah's first question when you finally got to talk to him after being brainwashed was, what is happening? Or like, where am I? Clearly he didn't understand what was going on. Clearly he wasn't in his right mind. So, on the way to... Oh, yeah, there's this little tidbit where Joaquin somehow hacks into this thing and finds out that Ruth, or Sabra, or whatever you want to call her, she was a Black Widow. She was in the Red Room with... not with Natasha, but she went through the Red Room process just like Natasha did. That still doesn't answer how she's capable of throwing men twice her size into the fucking air like ping pong balls, okay? That shit doesn't make any sense. After this conversation where they find out that Ruth is a former Black Widow, fucking Sidewinder pops up with an AK-47 and just starts trying to light up Sam. And he throws a grenade, blows up the truck that he's in. And then he gets a call from somebody. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have a receipt for killing this dude soon. But then, of course, Sam's not dead. And then Sidewinder says something about, the buyer told me there was a 75% probability that you were going to try and talk me down. And then fucking, some Reddit tier shit. And then they fight, and Sam beats Sidewinder. Sam gets to talk to the buyer, and the buyer is the real antagonist. We'll talk about him later. So it's clear that there's some mastermind pulling the strings in the background. There's this conversation being had on Air Force One where it's established that, like, Ross is really trying to get this treaty to be locked in because it's like he wants to show the world that he's changed and he's not the bloodthirsty dog that he used to be as a general. And this is when I realized that Ross was the most interesting character of this movie. Everyone else is kind of boring, one note. Joaquin's the comic relief plucky sidekick. Sabra is the what's the word? Like the stern, cold female, like deuteragonist. She's the secondary hero, right? Or the third hero. Tertiary antagonist. Whatever, right? And then, Sam is the boring ass lead, right? But Ross is genuinely like the most interesting character in this movie because he's trying to do better in a situation, and he's being pushed towards his old ways. And I find that to be the most interesting thing. And then the political intrigue behind the treaty and the world building is the most interesting thing about this movie. Trying to get a treaty so that everyone can get a fair amount of adamantium, this celestial being just sticking out of the fucking ocean, and like there's a gold mine in it basically. That's easily the most interesting thing about this movie. So Ross lands in Japan because Japan is the one country that's trying to back out of this treaty after the events that took place in the White House. And during this negotiation, the Prime Minister of Japan, he's like, you guys stole the adamantium sample from us just to give it back to us to feign goodwill, right? And Ross is like, what are you talking about? And then Japan's prime minister gives him this dossier, and then for some reason Ross just like essentially spits in his face and says, you've got to be naive to believe that we would steal it from you just to have Captain America go and pick it up for us, right? And while the logic makes sense, it's like, that's not how you negotiate and de-escalate, right? Because what was in that dossier is that the CIA funded the Serpent Society and and paid them to steal the adamantium sample from Japan. And I don't know why he didn't try to fight that a lot better than just, you're stupid and silly for thinking that we would do that. But, that's what Ross did. I don't know why he did that. Oh, yeah. So Sam and Joaquin are in this base called, what was it? Echo 1. And they break in, they find out that basically the buyer behind the Serpent Society is the leader. Who's the leader? Well, the leader is... Okay, so if you remember in The Incredible Hulk, there was that scene where the guy is like laying on the floor and the gamma radiation gets into his brain and his brain starts like mutating and shit, right? Yeah, it's that guy. I don't blame you for not remembering who the fuck that was, because the MCU didn't remember who that was for like the longest. But yeah, he's the main bad guy of this movie, right? So they find out that he's trying to manipulate and pull the strings of all these different factions in order to bring a certain event to a head. What that event is, we don't quite know yet. We'll get to that. So then a fight scene happens while the leader escapes. The leader is basically the AI from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, where he focuses all on probabilities of things happening and shit, so that he can get the best outcome. It's kind of lazy, if you ask me, because if you understand the probabilities of everything, you would account for everything, right? But there are multiple things in this movie he just doesn't account for. So the leader escapes, and then a fight scene happens, and it's literally a bunch of military guys with stun batons, and it's like, not a single one of you dumb motherfuckers didn't have a Glock or an M16 or an M4 or some shit, like anything besides stun batons from... It's literally a Batman Arkham fist fight for no reason other than they wanted a fist fight. And I'll just go ahead and say it, the action in this movie is easily like the weakest part of this movie. It's like, it's very slow, stilted, like stitched together set pieces that don't really agree with each other, Then, okay, so Joaquin and Sam beat the guys and they exit the room, and then there's a whole like group of guys that are trying to fight them, and then Ruth shows up, whatever the fuck, dude. And she orders them to stand down. They don't want to stand down, so she beats them up with Sam and Joaquin so that they can get out. And then they get out of Echo 1. The FBI show up, the feds show up, and they arrest Sam and Joaquin. But right when they're about to... by the way, there's a shot in that scene where it shows you clear as day how small Ruth is compared to everyone else. She is tiny, bro. She is really small. Like, she's smaller than what's her name? Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson. She's really small, dude. So while they're getting arrested, the FBI walkie-talkie start playing the sleeper agent song. It's called Mr. Blue. The song is Mr. Blue, but that song starts playing, and all three of them are like, "Oh shit, we got to get out of here," because they're about to start going ape shit on us. So they escape, and then they go to a group of trusted individuals that Sam has, and they want Sam wants them to inspect these pills to figure out what's going on with them. Right? We'll get to that later. So then Sam, Sabra, and Joaquin... Oh, wait, no, wait. I forgot. There's an interrogation scene where Sam interrogates Sidewinder on what's going on with all of this. And Sidewinder reveals that... What did he reveal in that scene? Shit, I'm already forgetting it, bro. What did he reveal in that scene? While I'm finding that, I also need to bring up the fact that Stearns, or the leader, was imprisoned in Echo 1 for like 16 years. And Ross basically made him like a guinea pig to build like technology and weapons and all this stuff for the U.S. military. And if he could get Ross to become the president of the United States, he would release the leader, but he didn't release the leader. So now the leader is on a revenge tour, basically. I forget what they interrogated Sidewinder on. Okay, that's what it was. Is that Sam confirms with Sidewinder that the leader, or Stearns, I guess we'll go with Stearns because I'm not going to keep calling him the leader. Stearns leaked falsified documents to Japan saying that the CIA funded Serpent Society and funded them to, like, they paid Serpent Society to steal the adamantium supply off of Japan. So that's what that interrogation scene was for. Oh yeah. So basically, Ross is also tweaking at this moment. He's starting to, like, build up his anger, and he's starting to lose his composure. And he's like, send my entire Navy fleet into the ocean where the Celestial is, and we're gonna fucking fight Japan to get that Celestial if we have to, right? So the treaty has broken down at this point. But Sabra, Sam, and Joaquin, they go to the ships to meet with Ross, right? And Sam is like, hey, I know your dirty secrets. I will air out your dirty laundry in front of all these people. If you and we could either talk about this in the back, or we could talk about this right now in front of everybody. So they go into the back and talk about this, and Ross reveals that not only was all that shit that Stearns said was true, but he also was dying, and he needed Stearns to create some kind of solution for his ailing heart, right? And one thing that was really, really distracting, I have a note on it here, was that the audio quality changed every time Sam references Stearns off screen. And it made me think that Stearns was not the original bad guy for this movie. He was not the original villain of this movie. It was somebody else. Because when I tell you the audio quality changes so drastically mid-sentence for Sam, that it's genuinely one of the most distracting things about that scene.
Now we're here because Stearns wants revenge and doesn't care if he incites a war. We're playing right into his hands.
Because it's clear as day that Stearns was not the main bad guy, and they went in and changed it with ADR. Because, like, I don't know who the main bad guy was originally, but it wasn't Stearns, clearly. So then we get what is easily the best fight sequence, or the best action sequence in the movie, which is that Stearns has brainwashed 2 U.S. pilots, fighter pilots. I don't know what happened there. And now they're starting to attack Japan's ships, right? So Sam and Joaquin go out, and they fly out there to, like, stop the Japanese and de-escalate the situation, essentially. And it's easily the best action sequence. It's actually, like, it was actually a lot of fun to watch, but at the same time, it's a dogfight sequence, and dogfight sequences are really hard to make bad. They are really hard to make it's really hard to make a bad dogfight sequence, bro. Because most of it's CGI. Like, as I said here, all you need are some cool camera angles and a sense of speed, and you've got a good dogfight sequence. So, I can't really give the movie really high marks for that, So, Sam and Joaquin successfully stop the U.S. and Japan's ships and military from fighting, right? But Joaquin is critically wounded, and he crashes. He like nosedives into the ocean and, like, breaks almost all of his bones and shit. And then the leader has this moment where he just, like, has this tismy breakdown and just starts screaming. And I wrote here, how did Stearns not see the possibility of his plan failing here if he's so fucking smart? And that's the problem with the AI in Rogue Nation as well, is that if it's so fucking smart, how does its plans constantly fail? How does Stearns' plan fail if he sees all of the possibilities? How did he not see the possibility that Sam and Joaquin would successfully, stop the war from happening, right? But mind you, during this entire sequence, Stearns is trying to goad Ross on, and, like, telling him in his ear, oh, if you wanted to, you could just destroy all of these guys if you wanted to, right? Which is a red herring, because the whole thing is that the whole movie, we'll get to that, but it's a red herring. We'll just save that for later. So they successfully stop the war from happening. Ross goes back to America. Betty Ross finally calls her dad and they agree to see the cherry blossoms because that's what they used to do when they were when he was younger. But while this is happening, Sam is in the hospital with Joaquin. Joaquin's in critical condition, and then we get our obligatory MCU cameo where Bucky shows up, and Bucky is like, "You're doing great. You don't worry about it." Right, Sam, you're doing great because Captain America, he looked up to you while everyone else looked up to him, and blah 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 blah. The thing is that Sam has no legitimate reason to have this pity party because this motherfucker literally says, "Oh, Steve, he stopped like 2 alien invasions. Oh, look at me, I'm a stupid guy, and I can't even save the world, and it's all my fault that my partner got his bones broken." And it's like, shut up. It wasn't your fault. He was being a stupid motherfucker. He decided to push himself further than he could go, and he got injured for it. And it's not your fault. Like, what the fuck? But this moment gets, it just feels melodramatic because it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, he successfully stopped 2 nations from going to war with each other, and foiled the leaders or Stern's plan for the time being, right? Like the only bad thing that happened was that Joaquin got injured, and it was his own dumb fault. So I don't know why he's having this pity party. So anyway, where are we? Okay, so I can't believe we're almost done with the movie. By the way, I've only been talking for 48 minutes. That's crazy. I feel like I've been talking for like an hour, but Ross has like a press conference on the White House green, right, in the White House yard, where he talks about the treaty, and how they managed to successfully, keep the treaty or whatever. And this was when I realized that the media was kind of going hard on him, right? They were asking him some pretty scathing questions. But we'll keep that in your pocket for later. While this is happening, Sam is in this military hospital, and Stearns shows up to like reveal his master plan. It's like, "Oh, you thought you beat me, but no, you didn't. My plan is much bigger than you think, right? It's not what you thought it was." And then he's there to surrender himself so that it would make the headlines while Ross was at the press conference. So he gets arrested and admits all the shit that we talked about earlier about him making weapons for the U.S. and blah, 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 blah. And while this is happening, the press, they see the headlines, and they start asking Ross questions about this. And then the Secret Service and his administration, his cabinet, try to pull him away and not so that he doesn't answer the questions. But Ross is like, "I want to answer these questions." So all of this commotion causes Ross to go like apeshit, right? And he turns into the Red Hulk, which would have been like, that would have been a cool reveal if the marketing didn't fucking spoil it. Because the whole movie operates as if you don't know Red Hulk is in this movie. But the advertising explicitly shows that Red Hulk is in this movie. So what the fuck is the point? It's not a surprise. You're sitting there looking at your watch going, "Damn, when does the Red Hulk show up?" And he doesn't. And he's literally only in the movie for like maybe 5 to 6 minutes. So Sam manages to fly. I forgot to mention that like Sam has a friend that's in Secret Service, and she's kind of in the movie, but beyond being told what she does, she doesn't really do anything. So the Secret Service, when they see Ross has turned into Red Hulk, they pull out their Glock 18s, which, mind you, a Glock 18 is basically this, but there's like a little switch right here that you can switch to like fully automatic, so that it just fires automatically, right? What the fuck do you think a Glock 18 is gonna do to a fucking Hulk? Like, we're talking about the same universe where everyone knows who the Hulk is and what the Hulk is capable of. Why, for 1 second, do you think that a fucking Glock with a switch would save you? What? Really? Anyway, Sam shows up to save the day, just in the nick of time, and he takes Ross away from from civilians, so that there aren't a bunch of civilian casualties. And Ross chases him to what is obviously the reshoot location, right? The place where you can tell that this is like this section of the movie was 100% reshoots, 100%. Because there's like an abandoned car in the middle of the road for no reason, when they have no reason to abandon their cars here. They have no reason to do that. So there's just an abandoned car just in the street. So then they have the fight scene, and realistically speaking, Red Hulk would have smeared Sam Wilson onto the fucking pavement instead of you know, doing what a Hulk would do that's rampaging. Like, he does stupid villain shit where like Red Hulk would like grab Sam Wilson and then grab his helmet, and instead of just like taking him and smearing him on the ground like a raw fresh hot dog, like he just grabs his helmet and tries to crush him like a Barbie doll. And it's like, you could have killed Sam if you wanted to. Like, if you really went ape shit like the Red Hulk would have, Sam would have died. He would have died. But some fighting happens, and because Sam's wings have vibranium in them, they were gifted by the Wakandans. They've now turn purple when they absorb energy, just like T'Challa's armor did. And then he basically like stabs the Hulk with his vibranium wings, and it causes an explosion. And when I first saw it, I thought he fucking killed Ross, bro, because like the way that the CGI is kind of bad in this scene. And the way that it's rendered, it's done from like an aerial shot, so like Ross is standing there, then he just disappears for a second. So I thought he dead ass killed Ross for a second. But no, he doesn't kill Ross. It knocks Ross out for a minute, and then like the Secret Service and like the military show up to help what's his name, Sam. And Sam like sees that Red Hulk is still alive. So he talks him down, and he's like, remember your daughter, remember. He basically pulls a Martha on him, and he turned, and Harrison Ford, fucking seeing Harrison Ford half naked is not what I wanted to spend my fucking Saturday on doing. But Harrison, like, fucking Ross transforms back into his normal self, and then he gets airlifted out of there. And then we reach the conclusion of the movie, right? But we get the conclusion of the movie where we tie up some loose ends. Ross, like the treaty goes through. Ross is still president, but he serves the rest of his time. He serves the rest of his term in the raft, I guess, because he's in the raft because he wants to take accountability for his actions. Yeah, so I'm editing this right now, and I forgot to mention that the pills that Stearns gave Ross, they weren't there to help them. The pills are actually turning him into the Red Hulk. So yeah, that was part of the prediction that I got wrong, but I got everything else right basically. So I got the main give me some points, man. Give me some fucking points here. His daughter Betty Ross, for the first time, what's her name, the lady that played her in The Incredible Hulk, she shows up on screen for the first time in like forever. And, the bridge has been mended. Sam goes to visit Joaquin, where there's this kind of confusing conversation where, of course, Sam highlights how, I just want there to be room at the table, and if I mess it up, there won't be room for the table, which is obviously he's talking about opportunities for like black superheroes to be superheroes or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It's stupid, but Joaquin was like, "Oh man, you're just the greatest, man." And then Sam is like, "Oh, but what was the precise thing? Oh yeah, but the pressure and responsibility is crazy." And then Joaquin is like, "Oh, I've wanted the pressure and responsibility too, but why? Why would you want that? That sounds horrible. You want the pressure and responsibility of being a superhero? You got it. That doesn't make any sense to me." But the movie ends after that. We get the credits, and of course, because it's a black superhero, we gotta have rap music in the end credits, where Kendrick Lamar's "I" plays. Oh, at least they got the single version instead of the album version, because the album version is like a live version, and I don't like that version because it's got a bunch of like arguing and like audience noise, and I don't like it. I like the single version. So there's that. But then the worst part of the movie is the post-credit scene where Sam goes to visit Stearns in the I guess he's in the raft too, and fucking Stearns has this fucking "it's coming, something's coming" ass fucking bullshit that we've seen multiple fucking times. Please tell me, how many post-credit scenes have you seen in the MCU talking about something vague coming? This is another movie that does that. What the fuck is the point? What is the point? We are near the end of Phase 5. What is coming? Because it's certainly not me. I'm not coming. Like, I saw that post-credit scene on Twitter before I saw this movie, and like, it was one of those things where, as Queso puts it, it was so frustrating. I was about to get butt naked. It was fucking frustrating. I hated it. I hated it, bro. So horrible post-credit scene. So, after film thoughts. I have quite a bit of after film thoughts here. Because this movie's not good. It's not good. Unless you're like high or drunk, you are not going to like this movie. If you're a subscriber of this channel, unless you're high or drunk, you're not going to like this movie. And even then, there's nothing really jank or goofy about it like The Marvels. The Marvels was just a fucking train wreck, dude, of the funniest variety. This is just, it's like Suicide Squad, dude, where it's like, it's just a bunch of stuff just stitched together, and it just doesn't feel like it agrees, you know? But let's go down the list. Let me read the first one. This film should have been way worse than it was. Yes. It's not winning any awards, and no one is going to say this is their favorite MCU movie, but it is a film I can confidently say survives. It's not thriving. It's not doing well. It's borderline dead, but it held its shit together, and it made it through, and it somehow made some kind of sense. I mean, it's held together through glue and duct tape and rope and yarn, but it made it through, you know? It somehow made it through. Okay, so this is where I summarize my opinion on each of the characters. Harrison Ford's Ross was the best part of the movie. He had some depth and a clear and obvious desire. Sam was boring and whined about being in Steve Rogers' shadow while occasionally making vague asides about racial comments. Joaquin was a pain in the ass who doesn't really overstay his welcome, so that much is merciful. Ruth/Sabra was just there. Not a big deal. Unless you're one of those weird people that hate Israel and just hate Jews and shit. Let's see. Stearns was basically the AI from Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning if it was an actual person. Flaws and all. Sidewinder was barely in the movie. Genuinely has me questioning why he was here and why he had such an expensive actor for a grand total of maybe 15 minutes of screen time. And Isaiah is just the same character he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that sums up all of the characters. So next I said it's clear what was a part of the film in the initial stages and what was added later in reshoots. The dogfight sequence was clearly an early addition, while the final battle was so obviously a late addition due to how brief it is and how most of it takes place on a single street with almost no dynamic factors. Well, I tell you, literally, once they hit that street, they don't go anywhere. There are no civilians, the fight is just them throwing punches at each other and hitting each other and doing shit to each other. That's really it. They don't really move that much. Like, there's no, like, the terrain doesn't change. You know, Sam doesn't have to, like, run up a hill to, like, you know, attack the Hulk, or the Hulk doesn't, like, create a crater or some shit that Sam has to crawl out of. It's just, they're just throwing punches at each other and throwing things at each other. But what was wild to me was finding out there was a whole character played by Rosa Salazar. Yeah, there was a whole character played by Rosa Salazar named Diamondback that was just not in the fucking movie. She like, did all of her scenes, recorded all her scenes, and they cut her out of the movie. That's a lot of money that they just fucking wasted, bro. I don't know. What the fuck happened with this movie? Alright, so here's the fun part. Here we go. We gotta talk about politics for a second. So here's what I wrote. It's also blatantly obvious that the film was originally meant to be more topically political. Topically political, mind you. That's what when people say this movie is too political, that's what they mean. It's topically political. It is political. It is referencing current day politics instead of political concepts such as propaganda, authoritarianism, Orwellian concepts, stuff like that. Instead, this movie was originally probably going to be an anti-Trump movie again for like the fucking 17th time, but let me continue. Like I said, it felt like it was supposed to be an anti-Trump movie, but they toned it down in reshoots and the editing room. Joaquin has a line about not caring who is president because it's an invitation to the White House, which we really didn't start hearing that kind of shit until Trump won the first time, right? Thaddeus Ross also being a contentious figure that half the country hates is also a factor in that. Thaddeus also says, "I'm a president for all Americans," something that we have heard a lot recently. He even has a past that everyone heavily scrutinizes while the media mercilessly beat him verbally, which I don't know how many times I've seen Trump argue with the press. It's genuinely amazing. You don't really see that often with most presidents. They end the movie by having Ross serve his term while locked up in the raft, mirroring the desires of a lot of people who wanted Trump to serve his second term in a jail cell after he was convicted. But because these elements are simply points in the story rather than the story itself, it ends up feeling less deliberate and more sloppy. So, like, I think that's kind of the thing that a lot of people notice is that, like, this genuinely feels like a movie that was supposed to be anti-Trump, but the sentiment changed and the winds blew a different direction, and they cut it down. They definitely toned it down. But you can definitely see that that's what this movie was supposed to be. This is not my favorite stick. It's okay, but I don't think I'll be getting any more of these. But next point is the continuity intensity of this movie, right? I wrote, "I find it odd how continuity heavy this film decided to suddenly make the MCU. After disbanding the Avengers, ignoring the events of the Incredible Hulk for nearly 2 decades, forgetting about the Celestial sticking out of the ocean for 4 years, and casually dissolving the Sokovia Accords in a conversation in She-Hulk, it's jarring how much the MCU suddenly cares about previous events and plot points. Phase 4 did everything in its power to undo all of the developments of Phase 3 for no reason." And that's why this movie I feel like this movie overcompensates for that, because they know that Phase 4 and 5 have been less continuity heavy. So a lot of times they will have characters outright explain what happened in the previous movies, such as they reference the fight between Hulk and Abomination in a very heavy-handed way. They reference this, like I said, the Sokovia Accord. They reference the Eternals with the Celestial sticking out of the ground, and it just feels really heavy-handed because I feel like they're compensating for the fact that a lot of the continuity has just been kind of ignored for the past like 5 years in the MCU. And then my last point. Finally, I'm so tired of being told how the multiverse is about to open and how the multiverse is bigger than you think. The multiverse has had no less than 3 false starts in terms of developing in a meaningful way in the MCU. We should be getting dedicated stories about the multiverse tampering with the world of the MCU, not another teaser at the halfway point of the self-described multiverse saga. In other words, why are we still getting post-credit scenes about something coming in Phase 5, near the end of Phase 5? Mind you, remember, not Multiverse Madness, what was that movie? Quantum Mania has Kang talking about something coming. What is this thing that is coming? What is it? Because it's been like 2 years, bro, since Quantum Mania. What is this thing that everyone's freaked out about? So, yeah, it's not a great movie. Captain America 4 is not a great movie. It is easily the worst Captain America out of all 4 of them. Easily the worst. But it's not the worst MCU movie I've seen. Like, Multiverse of Madness, Quantumania, and the Marvels are all worse. They're all worse. But at the same time, those movies try to play with concepts that are way bigger than I think those writers and directors could. Well, not directors in the case of Sam Raimi, but definitely they dealt with concepts that the writers were not equipped to handle, in terms of like multiverses and cosmic beings and all that crazy shit. They were not ready for that. Okay, the quantum realm in the case of Quantumania, they just weren't ready for it. While this one is a lot smaller, it's a lot smaller in scope. It doesn't deal with like deities and fucking like space travel and all that crazy shit. So this movie felt like it was a lot more coherent because it was just smaller. And I think that's what Marvel needs to focus on right now, just making a lot of smaller movies, focusing on smaller stakes. Because I felt like the stake, that was one of the few things I liked about this movie, was that the stakes weren't out of this fucking world cosmic horror type shit, you know? So yeah. Overall, if you really want to see this movie, I guess, you know, if you're a huge fan of Sam Wilson as Captain America, I hate that shit. I don't like him being Captain America. I like him being his own hero. I don't like I'm gonna just go ahead and explain it. I don't like when black heroes are given sloppy seconds. I don't like that shit. I don't like it at all. Like, we're not good enough to have our own. You know, it's degrading. I don't like it. So I don't like Sam Wilson being Captain America. I don't like it. And you know, Joaquin Torres being the next Falcon, you shouldn't like that shit either. You know, like a Latino getting sloppy seconds. Like, does that not feel like degrading? You know, does that not feel kind of embarrassing? That you're not, they're basically saying you're not good enough to have your own hero. We got to give you, we got to give you sloppy seconds. We got to give you hand-me-downs. I don't like it. And that's why I don't like Sam Wilson being Captain America. I don't like that shit. I feel like we deserve our own characters. Like Black Panther. Black Panther is a black character. And he's his own character. He's not sloppy seconds. Same for female characters too. You know, making Kate Bishop the next Hawkeye is stupid, but you know, we've already had these discussions for like the past decade. I'm not finna spend any more time talking about that. So yeah, yeah, it wasn't the most offensive thing I've ever seen. Just, it was mid. Had some good stuff here and there, but clearly it was a fucking mess, dude. And Marvel. If you're watching Marvel, I highly doubt you're watching, but if you're watching Marvel, bro, you got to get your motherfucking shit together, Marvel. Oh my God. I don't know what's wrong with y'all, because y'all have been fumbling the bag since 2020. After Endgame, y'all have fumbled the bag. I don't know what happened to y'all. I really do think y'all just didn't have a plan. And y'all got to get your shit together. Because we're coming up towards the end of the multiverse saga. We haven't had an Avengers movie. Y'all are just now talking about rebanding the Avengers, reuniting the Avengers at the end of Phase 5. And we still, in the multiverse saga, we still really have not explored the multiverse. We've had one movie explore the multiverse. In Multiverse of Madness. And even then, it was multiverse of fucking slop, because the zany universe they ended up in is that, oh, fucking the red light means go and the green light means stop. That's what we're doing with the multiverse. Like, if you're gonna, okay, so I'm gonna end on this tangent. If we're gonna do the multiverse, can we do some like crazy shit like fucking like Flashpoint, where fucking, what if Bruce Wayne died instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne, right? Like, do some shit like what the multiverse saga should have had was more stuff like what if. Like, what if there was a universe where Tony Stark became Ironmonger, and then that Tony Stark ends up in the MCU? Or what if there was this one comic where Steve Rogers was a Hydra agent? What if that Steve Rogers ended up in the MCU? Stuff like that. We should be getting stuff like that, not fucking, oh, the fucking, this universe has a fucking, the fucking Illuminati, or fucking, you know, the fucking stop means go and go means stop. Like, stupid shit like that. The fucking memory store. Like, we should not be getting dumb shit like that. We should be getting interesting things that play with our expectations, you know? But whatever. We got the Thunderbolts coming out in, like, I think 3 months. So I guess I'm gonna go watch that, when that's just basically Suicide Squad but for Marvel. And then Fantastic Four. So yeah, in that case, I thank you all for watching. If you would please like and comment, boost this video in the algorithm. And if you would like to support an indie author, check out Blur Havoc, my sci-fi military series. Novels, just so we're clear. Don't go in there looking for comic books, not yet at least. Yeah, or if you would please support my Patreon or Subscribestar. Other than that, I thank you all again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ta-ta for now.